Hey fam, I have got to tell you about today's communication education. It started with my 8 a.m. class where we talked about emotional IQ. You know, when it comes to communication competency, it's a sliding scale where you could be at the bottom and only able to communicate with one type of person in one type of situation, or you could have high communication competency where you can communicate effectively with multiple types of people in multiple situations. Emotional IQ, same concept. You can be very low on the emotional IQ scale where you just are reactive and emotional in any and every situation, or you can have high emotional education and high emotional awareness and self-regulation and internal motivation and empathy where your emotional IQ level is high. And so you're not reacting, you're responding to situations. Yeah, man, I had to respond to that hunger because I was about to pass all the way out in class. So I got me a little something before I headed off to my 11 a.m. class. That conversation was even more powerful. We talked about identity management. You see, there's a perceived self, which is the way you believe yourself to be in moments when you're truly authentic. And then there's a presenting self. That's the face we put on in the public so that we are perceived the way we want to be perceived. The two don't always match up. Not necessarily. And there's a lot of face work that goes into us putting that mask on so that we can be perceived in a particular way. Listen. There are high self-monitors in this process and there are low self-monitors in this process. The high ones really care and really put a lot of face work in to making sure they're presenting themselves the way they want to be perceived. And then there are those who are like, I don't care. You're going to have to accept me the way I am. We had a whole conversation about bonnets, about sagging, about everything. Man, one student was like, listen, why should you care if I wear a bonnet in public or if I'm sagging or if I code switch so that I can get this job or if I don't? Like, why should you care? Very individualistic. And another student was like, well, listen, you got a responsibility to the culture. It's not just about how you present yourself, but it's about how others might perceive you and attribute that to the entire culture. Very collectivist. I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on that. Make sure you put them in the comments. Man, what great dialogue and discussion we had today. And what was most powerful for me was that folks were finally able to see how these concepts play out in everyday life, how these theories and principles that we're talking about show up in their life, in their relationships, and how they present themselves to the world. Communication education is absolutely important so that you can show up your best self and send the messages that you intend to send about who you are. Hopefully you had a great day. I know I did.